Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
We are close to wrapping up 2017. So here we are taking stock of some of the key missions of this government, which were meant to make India's cities far more livable and inclusive. Today on Urban Reality, the spotlight is on the Smart City mission. Since June 2015, when the mission was announced with much fanfare by the Prime Minister himself, 90 cities have made the cut to the 3 lists announced by the Ministry of Urban Affairs. The question is, where does the mission stand today? How many of the projects under this mission have been rolled out? Are the monies being spent and spent wisely? And finally, have the citizens seen any tangible benefits yet of this mission as we hit midpoint of it? Joining me now are Kunal Kumar, Commissioner, Pune Municipal Corporation, Dr. Jaideep Bhattacharya, President, Center for Digital Economy Policy Research, Karuna Gopalan, President, Foundation for Futuristic Cities, and Pratap Padode, Founder and Director at Smart Cities Council India. So I'm going to first go across to Jaideep Bhattacharya. Jaideep, recently AmCham and PwC came out with a report, and you are, of course, a co-chairperson of that AmCham committee on smart cities. How would you rate the progress of smart cities? Would you say it's modest, is it slow, or is it satisfactory?
You know, Manisha, this is a large project. It's a program, and it takes a lot of time before the program actually takes off. So it has to go through that whole hockey curve shoot up that usually goes through any large program. It has taken a year to select the cities, which are the cities that are eligible to become smart cities. So that's where 1 year has gone by. Another year has gone by in getting the consultants on board, the capacity on board, and getting the first set of RFPs to be dished out of the window.
All right.
And now's the time when we'll start seeing the execution to happen. And therefore, we are kind of on track as
So you're being politically correct, but you're saying on track? So,
visualized by the government. As
Satisfactory?
visualized by the government.
All right.
Yeah.
And as visualized by you, do you think it could have been faster?
In hindsight, yes, there are many things that could have been done faster. But as in most cases, it's by hindsight, I think we could have fast-forwarded the way we selected the cities. We could have fast-forwarded how we onboarded consultants. A more centralized approach could have really helped because many of the cities were struggling and they needed help. So I think those are things on hindsight that we could have done better. And therefore, we could have possibly moved much faster than where we are right now.
All right. So let's go to the man who is in the hot seat and implementing the smart city missions, Kunal Kumar. Kunal, would you agree that it is actually a hockey curve process, so probably slow and will now catch speed. But in hindsight, some of the things could have been done faster.
Yeah, actually, you know, there is some point in what Mr. Jaideep talked about. I also feel that, you know, as a city, we were never accustomed to working on, you know, kind of these kind of projects. We were typically in the previous missions we've been doing water supply, sewage, which are, you know, stereotype projects which engineers in municipal corporations had got used to. Now we are looking at more innovative projects, you know, projects which are involving a lot of technology. So we have to give that time to the system to adjust. It's almost like a paradigm shift. That is number one. Number two is, you know, this is not going to happen in a vacuum. There's a lot of policy which has to back. For example, I mean, a lot of cities are wanting to do smart roads and they want to do better roads. But unless and until they devise their own street design guidelines for their roads and their cities, they would not be able to do, you know, maybe they will do one, but they'll not be able to replicate it because there's no standard guidelines. So where does the standard guideline come from? Where are the guidelines for pedestrian safety? Where are the guidelines for how gardens have to be designed? All this is happening, and all this is happening in all the cities. We've done a fair amount of bit on this. This takes time, and this is the foundation. So I think the foundation building has happened, and some of the quick wins have also come on ground, so people are seeing some changes on ground too. But the large amount of work which has gone in the last year, 1.5 years, has been on this foundation building, which I think is going to decide. You were talking about faster, I would say better. So better is the better word to use, because the better the foundation of the city would be, I think the smart city delivery in the coming years is going to be better in those cities.
I think you've summed up very well. So let's take a quick look at what foundation building has happened and what are the projects which have taken off. 8 lighthouse cities studied under the AmCham PwC reports. Most of the projects which have taken off of course, seem to be the ones which are under 200 crore sort of capital. Karuna Gopalan, I know that you've basically had some issues in the way this mission was rolled out and thought that it could be done better. But now with the progress of these cities, and I mean, Pune is of course an outstanding example of it. Bhopal has moved pretty well. Ahmedabad also has a few standing projects. How would you rate the mission?
Well, again, as I've been saying right from the beginning, the mission could perhaps have been conceived very well. See, today, when we talk about the progress of the mission, I think a whole bunch of people who are actually working on the mission will be very happy to say that there's so many projects that have taken off. You know, we're building metros, there are control and command centers, etc. Those things are making people happy, but I'm happy about something completely different. I'm really happy that first time in the history of Indian, let's say, cities and city running, we are actually understanding, the city leaders are understanding what a complex game smart cities is, how intricate the whole game is, and how they have to think through the whole process. So first, I'm really happy that first time every city manager, every commissioner, every person who's engaged in the SPV and even the vendors are understanding the sanctity, the value of data that is sanitized, real clean data. Right now, reliable data is really not really available with us.
Okay.
I think people now started seeing how important building, let's say, a consensus, bringing in stakeholders is important, understanding international benchmarks, understanding frameworks for continuous engagement with citizens, not just, take their opinion in, what do you want for the city, how to continuously engage them. So these are the things that I think city leaders are learning, and that's what keeps me very happy. Private investment, for instance. Yeah, I mean, this is the first time they're understanding how difficult it is to get private investment, what is the return on investment for them, what is the user fee. Yeah, we shied away from all that.
I think you raised a very important point, Karuna, that for the first time we are understanding that getting a city going is a very complex process. You need to take everybody along. And if you need private investment, it is not going to come for free. You have to set your books right. You also have to take the bull by its horn and have some user charges also levied to make those projects have some sort of solid returns. Pratap Padore, as the head of Smart City Council, you've been interacting with just every stakeholder, especially those who are looking at this business pie of smart cities in India and have been very excited. I've heard two sides of the story. One group cribbing and saying, look, process is not fast enough, and we were hoping that we would get many more contracts and much more work. The other group actually seems to be happy, who have made or have been able to crack some orders. Where would you place yourself?
So I think, conceptually, I think the program has been a success because we have been able to very well communicate the concept. People have been able to understand over this period of time. And I think the whole, the requirement to learn or probably relearn the whole urban cityscape process has been done very, very well so far. But I think on the execution process, we are really trailing. That is very evident from the amount of money that people have picked up, from the monies that have become available. Money is yet to become available, but actually the work executed or money spent actually indicates that we are trailing absolutely. So we do have some few lighthouse cities, as you may call, and this was on expected lines, with such a, like Kunal mentioned, it is such a huge project. Obviously there is the 20% of the cities which are going to race ahead, which they have shown evidently, and the others that need to actually still catch up, unlearn their previous, the processes that they had. But I think the biggest challenge is that even in the execution stage, are we aligning or syncing it with the happiness quotient of the citizens? Because this program was designed with the view that citizens participate and then you fulfill their needs. So it's not, we can't take this like a PMC in isolation, a project management company, the SPV, that we just implement the project and we've done it. No, it's not going to happen like that.
Okay.
You have done it only when the citizens are satisfied with the outcome.
All
It
right.
has to be outcome based.
Outcome based. Okay, very interesting aspects raised by all our panelists. So let's take a look at the hard data on the implementation of the projects and deployment of funds, as Pratap Padore also spoke about. So 8 cities, which we just mentioned, the AmCham PwC report: Pune, Surat, Ahmedabad, Jabalpur, Visakhapatnam, Chennai, Ludhiana and Bhopal, out of the first 20 have been actually surveyed. And what has been shown is that they can be best described as being at early stages, which all panelists have said yes. Out of the 36.6 thousand crore rupees sanctioned, projects actually completed, and of course the report did not add this up. We did the number crunching and found that projects already completed only add up to a little over 1,000 crore rupees, which is a point that Pratap Padore just raised. And another 1,500 crore worth of projects have been tendered or are work in progress at different levels. We are not going to do hair splitting there. Most of the projects completed involve capital expenditure of less than 200 crore. One area in which maximum progress seems to be seen is setting up of that so-called sexy command and control center, which of course Karuna Gopalan raised as well, which ensures traffic movement remains smooth and offenders are punished. Other projects which are in different stages of work in progress include smart and efficient street lighting solutions, waste collection and disposal solutions, and mobility and transport solutions. Kunal Kumar, this is my big question for you. Command and control center, not disputing that it is not needed, but the project for which you raised your bond issue, which is 24/7 water supply, is probably a far more impactful project to have taken off. So what is it that, you know, some projects are taking much longer than the other?
I couldn't get the last sentence. Can you repeat the last sentence, please?
I said, what kind of projects are taking much longer than the others? I would think water supply is a far more critical and impactful solution for citizens than a command and control center.
Yeah, precisely. So the command and control center is again, you know, a very, very glamorous kind of project. But in the beginning it seems so, but if it develops into the way it should develop over a period of time, it is a real good value for the city for incident management of a lot of, you know, situations in the city. Now, the projects that people are looking for are projects, you know, basically which make them give that aha feeling when they, you know, see the city in the morning, when they come out of their houses. It's about having good water supply for themselves, having good roads, having good street lights, proper drainage systems, and things around them. So solid waste management, for example. So I think our concentration has to be, you know, it's not only going to be the smart cities mission, which people feel is about technology. It's also going to be about creation of this infrastructure and how we dovetail the smart cities mission with other programs that we are doing through the corporation to see that both these things happen. So the technology part also happens and the hard infrastructure happens, and that is what, you know, takes some time to marry different components of different projects together and then come out with a holistic project. Now, for example, the water project. The water project, we have 300 crores coming from the smart cities mission because of the smart metering part being funded there. And we have about 250 crores coming from the Amrit mission, where, you know, some water reservoirs which have to be done in the city are being done. We're raising around 2,000 crores from the market, and the rest of the money is coming from PMC. So it's a financial structure where we have married a lot of different projects. Smart cities mission is one of them, but what gets discussed is this project is part of the smart cities because generally people associate, you know, these things with smart cities. So it's a mixture of projects. And yeah, so that is how it takes time. So the projects which are multi-dimensional in nature, projects which require finances from various sources, are the projects which do take time to conceive and deliver.
I think that's a very interesting aspect of which are the projects which are taking off and which are the ones which are taking some time. I'm going to come back, and another aspect which I've sensed out of all our studies on smart cities is why is it that some cities are doing better and the others aren't? What is it about the leadership in these cities? And of course, we will come back to that other big question, whether the monies are being spent right. Stay with us. As we hit the midway mark of the ambitious Smart Cities mission, the question to ask now is what is the progress on ground, and are the stakeholders, reaping benefits in those cities which at least made the cut in the first 20? Dr. Bhattacharya, we're talking about monies being spent, and we've said, all right, not more than 2,500 crore worth of projects have really taken off ground. Kunal Kumar has also outlined on which are the projects which are happening faster and ones which are taking longer. Now, everybody has this question. So you've put aside such a large amount. Is the money being spent right, and is it being spent well?
Manisha, it's a good question, because if you look at what even Pratap was mentioning, that this project was based on what people really wanted, because the cities are for people. Now, typically you would assume that people want water and sanitation, because that's the basis of a city.
Right.
And at some point in time,
that should be number one to be done.
Paris had the highest mortality in the world because it did not have any sewage system in place. And therefore, from there, it became the best city in the world. And similarly, that's what's needed in a place like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and so on and so forth. But if you look at the total spend on water, it's less than 6% of the total spend.
Wow.
If you look at sanitation,
under all the smart city mission reports put together.
Across all of the
But do you think it could be happening under Amrit, as Kunal Kumar said, that it's a multi-pronged approach right now to urbanization?
Sure. So the way the funding is looked at is there is a component called convergence. Under convergence, whatever money is coming from any other scheme is completely counted under smart cities.
Okay.
And therefore, the counting is complete. It's not that some part
So
of it is being
0.6
left
is 0.6.
That's right. So it's 0.6. So it's 6%, less than 6%.
Sorry,
About
less than
5.5% is being spent on water. Again, about 5.2% on sewage. Now, when we went to some of the underprivileged sections of society here in Delhi, and we assume that water is the biggest issue, they said no, it's education which is the biggest issue. If you look at education and health combined, it's less than 3% spent.
Wow.
I think those are the challenges, because from an Indian perspective,
Where are we spending the money?
Where are we spending the money on?
All right. I think these statistics are pretty eye-opening. Karuna, what's your own reaction to the fact that, health and education is 3% or less than 3%, and water and other utilities are actually less than 6% of the monies under the missions?
Yeah, Manisha, just to, you talked about the percentage, but basically right from the beginning, which this is the point that I'm making. If you're looking at basic infrastructure like providing water, building houses, low-cost housing, then you don't have to have a smart cities mission, right? You can just make do with a basic urbanization mission or any mission that revives cities and, all that. The whole point of creating a smart cities mission is, how do you prioritize the requirements of a city, and how do you infuse technologies? How do you leverage the existing technologies? Get your bucks to work for the city and the citizen. So somehow, somewhere, we have lost it. Like for instance, for someone like me who doesn't work in India as much as I work outside, I am having to explain why our smart cities mission is just looking at the basic things, So my question would be that while you are happily...
But don't you think it's important to get the basics also right?
I agree. So that's why I said, so the basics are very important, Manisha. In fact, I would certainly align and endorse what everybody is saying here today. But I'm also saying that while we are working like ants on the ground, let's also once in a while soar into the skies, understand, get the eagle perspective on what's happening around the world, how we can get certain small things to, let's say, quantum leap into the newer ages and get maximum out of the little bit of money that we are investing. Low-cost housing, there are technologies that are really cheap. Nobody is really majorly exploring all that in India. Several things, I'm sure even Kunal Kumar, they will all agree with what I'm saying.
Okay.
I see in other parts of the world.
Pratap,
if it's a smart cities mission.
Pratap, you spoke about the happiness quotient of it. So, and I think the conversation is coming back to it. The citizen outcome with the money which is being spent. Do you also believe that as the smart cities, project reports came in, probably before ticking them as a smart city, some more discourse should have happened in terms of how are they spending the monies?
See, I think the projects were already outlined and under the Smart City Challenge, and then they were agreed upon and endorsed upon by the citizens. Like Jajit said, there may be, discord there in terms of what is really required as statistics show and what people thought they required. But anyway, that plan has already been decided. Now where we are stuck, really speaking, is in terms of the execution of the plan, because you got to win faith of the people that whatever you've been assigned to do, you're doing in that speed, within that money. But are we spending it correctly? I think there you got to look at the procurement issue. So in procurement, how is that whole process going on? Are the specifications which are being laid for each and every product? Because please understand, we are investing precious resources into building cities. Just because there is pressure of certain time, people should not be compromising on the kind of products or services that they actually deploy, because otherwise 2 years down the line, and we'll be back to square one, trying to replace, maintain, operate the same city.
Pratap
Finally,
Padode, this is something that you have raised and literally opened up Pandora's box. Of course, we could keep going on implementation of smart cities, but I'm going to toss this question to Kunal Kumar. Kunal, how many leaders of these projects, and including commissioners such as you, of course, who are most progressive, are cognizant of the fact that any solution which is being deployed has to be future ready? And or is there any pressure to get the numbers going, and therefore there's some sort of hurry in which the way projects are getting deployed?
No, I do not agree that there is a hurry. In fact, that's the point I've been making in all the forums, especially in all the review meetings that happen. That faster is not the word to look at, better is the word to look at. And in the hurry to roll out projects, we may actually end up doing things which are typical, which have been happening in the past. Just count the number of projects and you actually don't see the outcomes. So that's one. The second thing is, yes, integration is a very, very important component of everything that we are doing. Like, for example, I started my discussion today on this discussion today with the saying that policy needs to come first and then the project needs to come.
Right.
So the policy has to come first, and then suppose we don't have an open data policy, tomorrow we just can't think of integrating things beyond a certain point. So we didn't need to have an open data policy.
Right.
We then need to build frameworks for integration of multiple systems. And all of that is being done in each and every project, and that's also one of the reasons why these projects take time. Because unless those things are built in, these projects are not going to be future ready. So tomorrow, if my command control center doesn't talk to my water system, doesn't talk to my smart mobility system or my traffic control system, it is not worth it. So this is being inbuilt, and this is taking a huge amount of effort, which is almost like a paradigm shift from what we have been doing in the past.
All right.
And we have to go very, very cautiously on that.
Well, at least we've been able to get some of the key points into this conversation. I would like to thank all my panelists here. Kunal Kumar, thank you very much. Karuna Gopalan, Pratap Padode, and Dr. Jaydeep Bhattacharya, thanks for being with us. I'm only going to conclude on this note that it's evident there's some progress on the Smart Cities mission, but there's a lot more framework which needs to be in place to get it right. And it is important to get it right, not just tick those boxes before that mid-2019 Lok Sabha polls. That's a wrap on Urban Reality this week. Thank you so much for watching.